Hello everyone, welcome to VeganEri. I'm Eri and I'll be sharing with you today my vegan Mongolian beef recipe using seitan. Let's get started. First, we're going to prepare our seitan beef. To a mixing bowl, add 1 1/4 cup of heavy wheat gluten, 1/3 cup of chickpea flour, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and some salt and pepper. Mix until combined and set the dry ingredients aside. Then for our wet ingredients, to a blender, add half a cup of black beans, 3/4 cup of vegetable stock, and 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds. Then come all our spices. Add 2 teaspoons of sweet paprika, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of marjoram, 1 teaspoon of bay leaves, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and lastly 2 teaspoons of brown rice miso. I like to add the miso because it helps give the seitan beef that umami flavor, but if you don't happen to have it in your pantry, just go ahead and add a little more soy sauce. Go ahead and blitz that up till it's nice and smooth, then add it to the dry ingredients. Stir the mixture until it comes together, then when it forms a dough ball, go ahead and transfer it to a flat surface. It is important to knead for at least 10 minutes. I even like to set a timer to make sure I reach the full 10 minutes. If you don't work the gluten enough, your seitan beef can become spongy and not give us that dense meaty texture we're looking for. Because it can be harder to work with than regular dough, I like to use a roller to help me knead the seitan. Once you have finished kneading, form the dough to be about 1 inch thick, then set it aside while preparing a simple broth to cook the seitan beef in. To a pot, add 3 cups of vegetable stock, 3 cups of water, and 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Then peel and quarter half an onion and add that to the broth, and do the same with 2 cloves of garlic. Bring the broth to a simmer and set in the seitan beef. Make sure that it is fully covered in the broth and let it simmer in there for 1 hour. Meanwhile, let's prepare the Mongolian beef sauce. I'm going to be using about 1 tablespoon of ginger, about this much, and 2 cloves of garlic. Mince that together finely. Then grab 3/4 cup of water and mix in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Then, to a pan on high heat, add the 2 tablespoons of oil and the minced garlic and ginger. Cook only for 20 seconds, then to stop the ginger and garlic from burning, cool it down by adding half a cup of rice vinegar and half a cup of soy sauce. Once that is brought to a boil, add the water and cornstarch mixture. But make sure you give it a stir before adding it to the sauce because the cornstarch tends to stick to the bottom of the dish. Lastly, add half a cup of brown sugar. Do make sure to have all the ingredients measured and by your side while making the sauce. The sauce does cook quickly, so you really don't have time to be measuring in every ingredient as you add it. After 4 or 5 minutes of cooking, you should be all done. The sauce will have thickened up and be looking like this. Then set the sauce aside until we are ready to add it to the seitan beef. Make sure to periodically check on the seitan beef. The seitan will expand, so if it's not covered by the broth anymore, just go ahead and add a little bit of warm water. While that finishes up cooking, let's prepare our vegetables. Go ahead and cut the top half of 6 green onions into 3/4 inch pieces to mix in with the beef, and chop the bottom half finely to use as garnish. I also will be using some radish for color and crisp texture. Simply top and tail and slice thinly. Once the seitan has finished cooking after an hour, remove from the broth, then cut into 1/8 inch thick pieces. But unlike me here, do make sure to let it cool down a little bit before you start cutting. Then go ahead and add the seitan beef pieces to a bowl along with 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Cover the bowl and shake till all the seitan beef pieces are covered evenly in the cornstarch. Then generously oil a large pan on medium-high heat. Then add in your seitan beef and brown each piece on both sides. Make sure not to overcrowd the pan, otherwise some pieces might get burned while others not get any color. It took me 3 batches to saute every piece, each time adding a little bit more oil. Once you finish sauteing the last batch, add everything back into the pan and go ahead and throw in your sauce. Once you've covered every piece in the sauce, add your radish and sliced green onions. Only cook for about a minute or so, and it should be all done. And there you have it, delicious 100% vegan Mongolian beef. I'm serving it here with some rice and broccoli and garnishing it with some chopped green onion, sesame seeds, and red pepper flakes. This dish is so delicious and tastes like the real thing, only better. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this recipe as much as I do.